Hiya folks, if you're wondering where the happy music is, and you're wondering why there's rain sounds in the background, it's because we've had a very weird day here in the UK. The Queen's funeral has just taken place, so a lot of people in the UK are feeling quite fragile at the moment. So I figured today would be a good day. I know I'm going to do Hobby Nightmares. I wasn't going to do a Hobby Nightmares today, just out of respect, just to keep things nice and clear. But then I figured a lot of people find a lot of hope and joy and happiness from hearing Hobby Nightmares, so I picked a few out from a Games Workshop manager who is a friend of the channel, Natna. He sent me another little batch here of really cool, interesting and funny stories that have happened to him over the years. I will return with my own tomorrow. We should be having a really fun one tomorrow, just to cheer everybody up. I'm a bit late today because obviously the funeral has gone on and we've all been watching it, and in about half an hour's time I'll be doing family things again for the rest of the day. So thought I'd just come on. I wasn't going to do a video today, but I thought, you know what, a lot of people tend to get a lot of joy, and you know that it helps their mental health to hear these stories. So there it is. No plugs today, no Patreon, anything like that. It's just here, me taking you through for the next 10-15 minutes, giving you some Hobby Nightmares that hopefully you can have a bit of a laugh too. So there we go. So don't worry, I will be my normal upbeat self tomorrow. If you can call it upbeat, more rage-inducing, I suppose. But Natna says, "Hi North, once more, let me thank you for your channel." No problem, Natna, thank you for sharing your stories and giving us a place to share ours. He says, "I can relate to wanting nothing to do with Games Workshop or the hobby once you've left." Yeah, that is a story that I will be doing tomorrow. I have a few ex-managers from Games Workshop, and people who've worked in the hobby in general, studio people, codex writers, anything. I've even got one Black Library writer who has, we've been emailing back and forth, and I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow about losing your faith in the hobby and stepping away from it. Everybody tends to do it. I don't know any ex-member of Games Workshop in some capacity who hasn't walked away from the hobby after they finished working there. Natna says, "It didn't take me long to sell off all of my armies and focus on other things. The spark just having died in me for the hobby. Actually, I didn't get back into anything Games Workshop related until this summer when a friend convinced me to play the Horus Heresy with them. But enough about that. More stories from good old Games Workshop on the way." Okay. So this is first story. And if you don't know, Natna is an ex-Games Workshop manager. I know I brought that up before, but sometimes people get lost in translation somewhere. He says, "One of our regular players was a teenage kid we'll call Colin. He played Chaos Demons for 40k in Fantasy, and overall wasn't too much of an issue. He was somewhat immature, but what 16-year-old boy isn't? I encountered him most of the summer before he left for university, and that's where I started to really loathe him as a 17-year-old. Alright, he's about to go into university when he gets to 18, I suppose. Colin was a regular sight in the store and didn't give me any issues. So one night, when I locked up and started to leave, I was surprised to find him waiting out front. He explained that his ride had failed to show up, and he was trying to figure out a way home. Feeling bad, and not wanting to leave him sitting out in the front for who knows how long, I agreed to drive him home. Figured he probably was local for how often he was at the store. Wrong. Colin lived at roughly 40 minutes away from the shop, oh my god, in the complete opposite direction of my flat. Probably a 70-minute drive all told, after working my full shift. Yeah, forget that, dude. That's petrol money, gas money as well. That's like a lot of money you're spending to get back and forth to his place. They owes you at least a fiver there, Jesus. He says, I wasn't happy, but, you know, whatever. I've done my good deed for the week, I suppose. That was until the following week, when I closed up shop, and sure enough, there was Colin waiting out front. Again, he explained that his ride didn't show. This time saying they weren't responding to his texts. I definitely didn't want to give him a ride. I was tired and frustrated at this kid for having such poor choices in rides home. Despite my better judgment, I chose to give Colin a ride. Yeah, he's got you by the short and curlies. You can't leave him standing there, you know? I mean, I know other people go like, oh, I would. But you can't really, you know what I mean? Especially as a Games Workshop manager. Even, you know, like, if he's standing a few feet, this is how stupid it is. If he's standing a few feet outside of your store, I think it's like 5 feet, he is your responsibility. So if he's standing within 5 feet of your store window, this person's your responsibility. If he's standing there and there's no way of getting home and he's underage, he's under 18, you better make sure that this guy's okay. You know, you either stand there and wait with him till his ride gets there, or you take him home. Or you make sure he gets home. Like, there's no, you know, it's a good deed, I know, but like Games Workshop, if you just leave him there and something happens to him, and he's been standing outside of your store and he was part of your store, you know, it shouldn't be your responsibility, and it's a grey area. You'll get some trainers who tell you it's none of your business, just leave him standing there. You know, you're not liable for anything. But then you'll have other trainers, like a few that I had, that said, yeah, if he's 5 feet in front of your store and not any more than that, it's technically your responsibility till, you know, and a guardian comes and picks him up. Right? You're not a childminder, but you know, you are there to make sure that nothing bad happens to this guy, basically. All right. So, as the children's book says, so Natna says, if you give a mouse a cookie, I've never heard that phrase, but okay. Like clockwork, Colin was there the following week, this time without even an excuse of why he was waiting. You could tell he just assumed I'd give him a ride home. I wasn't having it and explained to him that I couldn't drive him home and he needed to sort out reliable transport. Colin was apologetic, but immediately latched on to Bert, from another Hobby Nightmare, who was leaving as well. Bert didn't know the whole situation and agreed to drive Colin home before I could explain it to him. Well, if somebody else is driving him home, dude, there's no need to explain it to him, just let him get on with it. From there, it seemed every other day, Colin would show up and by night's end was trying to bum rides off of people. It'd work on someone once, so he'd move on to his next victim until the entire store knew what he was about. By that point, every time he'd show up, I'd demand to know how he was getting home. His very presence was an irritation by then. The culmination of this was me, my wife, and some friends, a few of them hobbyists, were going to grab some dinner and see a movie after the shop closed. Ah, see, hobbyists do have girlfriends. My wife arrived early to hang out and talk when Colin sidled up next to her. He was polite and apparently conveyed how much I enjoyed having him around the shop. From across the store, like sounding something out of a movie, I watched her ask the dreaded question, "Would you like to join us tonight?" If I could have dropped to my knees and yelled, "No!" I would have. Of course, by night's end, he got one of my friends to drive him home. It was a glorious day when he pissed off to university. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, you do get the sponges. You get the time sponges, the time vampires who come into the store and don't buy anything and take up all of your time asking you questions, inane questions about all sorts of different things. But yeah, that guy sounds like a real piece of work. But anyway, you never know. Like, he might not have any family or friends or whatever, you know, so you doing that good deed, maybe he's latching onto that and being like, yeah, I need to be around this. You know what I mean? I need to be around this guy because he can help me out, sort of a thing. I don't know, but it seems a bit weird. But anyway. Continuing on. From another time, an older hobbyist would stop by. So another older hobbyist is coming by Natna's shop. Maybe he'd buy some paint or the like, but usually he'd just want to talk your ear off. And to say he was an odd duck is cheating him. He was a short, squat fellow who worked in the world of technology. One of those jobs where you can make a lot of money, but have no time. As a result, he owned a ton of models, but barely got time to play or paint. His main army was Tyranids. If you didn't know this when you met him initially, he'd tell you within the first 10 seconds, in agonizing detail, about how many models he had, how many Biotitans. At odd points he'd bring one in to work on it, but it was really just to show it off and talk some more. This bloke loved Tyranids. So much he even changed Six Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back to I Like Big Bugs and I Cannot Lie, the entire song, and he'd sing it if you gave him an ounce of incentive. Oh my Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh, that's hit me right in the embarrassment zone, right in the center of the chest. When you get that feeling of, oh, like if you're standing in the shower and you remember something really, really fucked up that you did, like, you know, a while ago, or really embarrassing, and you just sort of shout it out, you're like, oh, and you sort of like, I don't know if anyone else does that, but I do it all the time. Like, I will literally be like, oh, yeah, like, I'm standing in the shower, chilling out, And then I'll just be like, oh, no, don't think about that. Don't think about doing that. It's horrible. But yeah, that hits me right in the embarrassment zone. His climax, however, hopefully not literally, came when the 5th edition Tyranid Codex dropped, but there was no model for the Tyranofex or the Turvigon. To correct this issue, and to represent a giant murder bug and a giant birthing bug, he decided to make some unique conversions. First, he crossed a Carnifex kit. Oh my god. First, he crossed a Carnifex kit with a large dildo for his Tyranofex and a fleshlight served for the Turvigon. The device filled with gaunts he could shake out at will. Needless to say, we told him under no uncertain terms he was never to bring these conversations or products into the store again. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my Jesus. Like, we don't get paid enough as Games Workshop managers. We just don't. And this is the reason why. You have people sitting in the Warhammer studio at HQ or whatever, chilling out, having a nice cup of coffee. You know, they hoard all the hot women up there as well. All the hot women who work at GW work at HQ. If you don't believe me, if you ever get to walk around the studio or the offices, every woman in there's hot. Every single one of them's like a good looking girl. They're all on good wages and they're there because they're good at their jobs. Yep, they're good at their jobs, but they're also very good to look at. And a lot of the old boys up there like looking at nice young things walking around, so there you go. So they're up there having a good time, and all the lads and girls in the hobby stores, the normal people, the grunts, have to deal with shit like this. We're the ones who are exposed to you smelly reprobates on a daily basis, and we don't get paid enough for it. Just thought I'd go on about that for a little bit. Anyway, he says, just to finish things off, a short non-Games Workshop story for you. After I left the company, some friends and I homebrewed a cyberpunk RPG. It was great fun and a fantastic distraction from my previous job. One of the younger players was playing as a corporate assassin. Full-on suit and tie, black leather gloves, silenced pistol, dark sunglasses, piano wire, you get the idea. He's basically 47, essentially, from Hitman. On one particular mission, the party went inside an abandoned laboratory secreted in the slums of the city. Paranoid that they might get ambushed, they elected to have the assassin out front to serve as watch. While he waited there, a group of young hooligans rolled up on bicycles. We're talking about school children acting like bullies from the 1980s. Their demands boiled down to this. Give us 50 quid, pounds, old man, or we'll beat you up. Tension rose as this highly trained corporate hitman stared at the youths. Slowly, he reaches his hand inside of his suit coat, the ruffians gasping as they wait for a weapon to appear. Instead, the assassin pulls out his wallet and asks the children if they can make change. We definitely busted this guy's balls for quite a while about this. Best part, there was a whole other mission planned for when the players started stuff with those kids and they ran home to complain to their gangster brothers. This is what happens when you don't have all murder hobos. Thanks again, Natana. Cheers, man. Yeah. Again, like, I love it when in role-playing campaigns when shit like that goes down and you're not seeing it from any other angle apart from, you know... I like barbarians that are, like, quite gentle. Like, we had one who, like, had a dog, like a small dog, and he would always, take care of it and things, and anyone came anywhere near his dog, he'd get annoyed. But it was, like, one of those, yeah. But anyway... Thank you for watching Hobby Nightmares. There will be more tomorrow, I promise you. There'll be a longer one tomorrow because it is one of my own stories. And I've got a few little stories from people from Games Workshop at the time as well. And on Wednesday we have a rather long Hobby Nightmares video as well coming to you. That's been sent in that I didn't want to do today because it's a bit more of a silly one. And I thought today we'll do like a normal one. But there'll be more music tomorrow, more everything. And thank you very much for watching. I hope this gets you through your day, or at least you have a little bit of a chuckle. Love you all long time. Have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a good one.